Hello, back again. The last video I posted was a bit confusing, I would imagine. I just haven't been having very much luck with this whole mold making and casting thing I'm busy with. I just tried another pour to see how things went, but I don't know, whatever happened with that chemical reaction I don't know, has tainted these molds, and now it's just air bubbles all the time. But let me now maybe explain to you uh, what what has been going on. Firstly, the first products I'm using, this is a two-part product that I use to make the molds. They come out like that. There's a clear one you mix, and the sort of brownish one. And initially I was using, well, for all the gun and mortar bases I made, I was using this as a casting resin, or a special casting resin. Not just casting resin, it's a special, well, it is a casting resin, I suppose. I don't know how to describe it to you, but it's very purposely made. So I was using this stuff, and I had quite a bit of luck. I was making these gun bases and mortar bases, which I managed to sell quite a few on eBay, and that's what I was using. But having had experience of using potting resin, which is basically also casting resin for in my electronic work, I decided to buy this, what they call just polyester resin. It's like, you know, the stuff they used to make fiberglass with, but it's just, I don't know, slightly different compound. It's just for potting and casting. And this stuff is a one part, but you use this MEK catalyst, which causes a chemical reaction which causes it to harden. And what I also got with that is this powder, which is called aerosol powder, which we mix in, and it ups the volume, so you know, it just makes it go further. So that's that story. Then, as I say, I had made these two molds earlier, or quite a while ago, and they were producing these gun and mortar bases, which I say were coming out quite good. And then I wanted to sort of expand my sort of little endeavor on selling bases. So I made these Scenic bases and small and medium bases, and I started off making this set of molds, these four. And for whatever reason, I'm not entirely sure, I think it's a lot of this whole problem is just to do with my lack of patience. But for whatever reason, it ended up with a lot of air bubbles, you know, in the actual molds, which, you know, when you pour the resin in and they come out, I mean, it just doesn't look nice at all. I mean, it's just holes in, you know, in all the rocks and trees or whatever you are that you're trying to put on the bases. So firstly, I mixed up some of the rubber and tried to sort of patch up the molds. And what that did was just obscure some of the detail. But to try just to see what came out, I did a pour of the mold using the cheaper polyester resin, and when I did that, I did a pour on these as well. And what happened with that is that stuff there has a lot of shrinkage. So I did an initial pour, and then they shrunk down quite a bit. I don't know if that's because of, maybe it's, I think I was reading something that possibly it's that powder that you add that causes additional, I mean all resins will shrink as they harden, but that aerosol powder caused this to shrink so much. Well, that's what I think. So what happened was when I poured the second pour, that the second pour got in between the hardened first pour, in between the set resin and the mold, but now the mold release had already stuck to the resin that was the first pour, so that the resin stuck to the molds, and although these didn't come out too badly, but it really damaged these molds. And trying to clean them, because I mean all that sticks to the molds, and I mean this stuff, when something sticks to this, it sticks. I mean if you don't use a good release agent, you've got no chance. So I mean these are all in all the little nooks and crannies, are all little pieces of sort of semi-dried or dried resin, and trying to clean them cause a number of breaks in this one, and I don't know, it just caused the rubber to go from a soft, it just hardened the rubber and made it sort of brittle, so it was just cracking everywhere. So I don't know if those are ever going to be able to be used again. The thing is now that I'm running out of material, and then the next episode is I remade the 4 molds, which are those 4. So I've got these 4, and those 4 are identical for the same masters, and they came out, the molds themselves came out great, and because of the small amount of the good, let me call it the good resin, I decided to add some of this powder to this resin. But obviously they're not meant to combine. I mean, nowhere did it say. I just thought I'd give it a try. And that was what you saw in the last video, was that massive bubbles. Now, as I say, I think what this has done is it's either left a residue or it's actually penetrated this rubber. But, you know, I cleaned the molds out, made up a new batch of just plain resin, the stuff that worked for me quite well before. And I poured it, and again I've just got a mess of bubbly little things. I didn't even pour the molds full, because I thought I'd just pour them a little, you know, not entirely full. So there were some air bubbles, so they would just, you know, come out, and then I would, you know, just put on a second layer. Again, doing a second layer, when I learned from the last time that 2 layers don't work. But as I say, I think a lot of this is my lack of patience and possibly a bit of stupidity, but also the desire to, you know, to get these things done. Yeah, as I say, I sold a couple of those bases. Now the money that I made from the bases I've sold, I bought this new batch of equipment, and by the looks of it, none of it's working out. So looks like I've destroyed the molds that were sort of providing me with some income, and doesn't look like I've got very much more to make very much more. So I really don't know what I'm going to do now, but what I think I must do for starters is just to shut down tonight and go to bed and have some sleep, and come back tomorrow morning and sort of reevaluate everything and see where it needs to go. But Terrain Project, I read your reply about the talcum powder, and I had heard something about that before. So whatever I do tomorrow, I will try. But if that talcum powder, is that for the resin or when you're making the molds? Does it work for the rubber stuff or just for the resin? Okay, bye now.